Hi everybody, welcome to YSCom Driving. I think today is day 17 or 18. I'm not quite sure. I've lost count of the days. We're in MCO, and of course we still need to do videos, and we can only do videos from the confines of our home. So after racking my brains and thinking about what I should talk about, we decided that we should talk about wheel alignment, which is something that some of you will find very interesting, some might find boring, but actually it's very important to all of us. Okay, so looking at the car wheels, I have a few cars here. This is a very nice 1948 truck, and it's got steering wheel and the wheels that turn. Okay, and this is a very nice little Lotus. This is I think 1/18 scale. This is an Elise, and it also has got wheels that turn with the steering. Okay, and we might be using them as samples later. Okay, so now looking at I have another camera here that's looking at the screen. This is the picture of a alignment machine. So why do we need to align the wheels? Well, the thing is, you need to get the wheels pointed in the correct direction, and logic would tend to tell everybody, why don't we just set every wheel dead straight? Then should be straight. See? So what I'm trying to say is, it's logical to think that the wheel should be straight up and pointing straight forward, and the back wheel should be the same. But it doesn't work out like that, because you are setting up your car in a static state, but you're going to use it in a dynamic state. That means you're going to be driving it around, you're going to take corners and all, and there's things like suspension. Okay, so the car will move, the wheels will move, and then as you take the corner, there is a difference in the cornering, or the suspension will move around the corners, the tires will move. And let's just say you set the front wheel straight, okay, straight, pointing straight upwards, and pointing straight forward. Okay, what happens is, when you take the corners, this wheel, if it's too straight, will start, because as you take the corner, there will be forces acting on the side of the tire. You'll start pushing the tire in, because it's made of rubber, remember. And what will happen is, you will get some funny wear on the outside of the tire, because as the wheel turns, it rubs against the side of the tire. So therefore, it's always good to set a bit of negative camber, like this. Okay, I can't, you see, this is, yeah, you can see this is a bit negative, this is a lot negative. So when it takes the corner, the wheel will sort of hold itself against the road. So it stands to reason that we should have a bit of negative camber. But having said that, some cars are set up with zero or positive camber, especially the newer ones that have traction control systems, because they want the car to understeer. So you can actually determine what happens to your car by setting up your wheels either intentionally or inadvertently. Inadvertently means, if you set up your wheels wrongly, you can end up in trouble. Okay, so now, where do you do your wheel alignment? You have to go to an alignment shop. You can't do it yourself. Yes, there are those who say, oh, there's this guy I know who can pull a string and he can do the alignment. Yes, there is such a thing, but it is not so simple. Okay, so in wheel alignment, you're looking at measurements of maybe half an mm or 1 mm, at the most 1.5 mm or 2 mm max. Okay, and you will find that it is quite difficult to use a string to measure that, because the string will stretch. Okay, just take ordinary piece of string, just pull it, you'll get 1 mm extra, even if it's just 1 foot long. Okay, so it's very difficult to measure accurately, and this is something your eye cannot see. So therefore, you need an instrument, and you need an instrument like this. Okay, on this picture here, you can see that is a wheel alignment machine. Now, I'm not trying to sell any wheel alignment machines, but it's just a picture I picked off the internet. Now, the wheel alignment machine is not something that is very scary. It's nothing but a huge ruler, according to my friend. When I first learned about alignment, he taught me a bit about alignment. He said it's nothing but a huge ruler. What does it do? It measures. Okay, so what are the things that you need to look at in your car? Okay, there are a few things here. So that's the picture of the wheel alignment machine. Let's move on here. And that's the picture of the wheel clamp here. You can see the wheel clamp. And then after that, this is the wheel clamp on the wheel that you can see. And you can see the picture there. The man is setting up the wheel clamp on the machine. Now, important thing about measuring alignment on a machine is you are measuring the alignment based on percentage of a degree, maybe half a degree or 0.3 or 0.4 of a degree, or even mm, 0.6 of a mm, 0.7 of a mm, or 1 mm. I ask you to imagine 1 mm is so much, okay? About this is 1 mm, less than that. Okay, that's maybe 5 mm. So it's very difficult to visualize 1 mm, right? And so if you're looking at a car like this, can you imagine how much, if you want to, let's say, if I need to tow in the front 1 mm, can you imagine how you're going to measure that? It's quite difficult, right? So you need the machine to tell you. Now, as with all machines, it's always GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So therefore, looking at this clamp here that's put on the wheel, this clamp sort of clamps onto the wheel and is supposed to read the characteristic of the wheel, what angle it is and what angle this way, lateral and vertical, yeah, and in mm or in degrees. So that's quite wonderful, right? The machine is quite wonderful because if you look at the front, you see there are lasers that point from the top there onto the wheel, onto the front wheels and rear wheels. Okay, so it's quite an amazing machine. But what makes you think that the clamp that he's putting on the car is flush with the wheel? Interesting question, right? And what makes you think that even if it is flush with the wheel isn't bent? That's another interesting question, right? So how can you be sure that the machine is accurate? Okay, so you see the picture of the clamp. Okay, it is just clamped onto the rim. So how do you know that it is flush? How do you know that even this thing is adjusted properly? So you don't, right? Okay, but the machine does. But the machine cannot do it by itself. That is why when you see the people fit the machine on the clamp on the machine, you see the arrow here. They turn let's say you fit like this. It's off. The wheel is here. This clamp is there. It's off. The angle is off. So that means your reading is off. So what they do is they actually take a reading from here, this angle. Then they turn the wheel this way, and the machine will take another reading at this angle, and then they turn it backwards, and the machine will take the reading at that angle, and they turn it back. So there are actually three angles, one at the top, one forward, and one backwards. And when they have done these steps for all the four wheels, the machine then comes out with a reading, and it's a corrected reading. And that's why it's called run-out compensation. So here is a point to note. If you go to a alignment shop and they just put the clamp on your car and then they start adjusting, well, you may not be able to do it, but you should take your car off the ramp, tell them, and go and find another shop. Because what they have done is they don't know what they're doing. And I can say that a very high percentage of the shops out there don't know what they're doing, because they will just put the clamp on and then they will start adjusting, but they never did the run-out compensation. So that means whatever reading they're getting on the car is rubbish. Yeah, so just remember that. Yeah, it's called run-out compensation. Yes, some machines will not give you a reading. The machine maker tries to eliminate this shortcut. So you must do a run-out compensation, and if you don't, the reading won't come out, the screen won't come out. So what happens is they do the run-out compensation. It's a chore they have to go through once in the morning, and maybe once at lunchtime when they switch off the machine to go for lunch, and then after that they leave the machine on. Okay, so in the morning at 9 o'clock they do one car and they do the run-out compensation, then they adjust, then they leave the computer on. The screen is off, computer is on, the alignment computer is on. So when the next car comes in, they just clamp it on, and then they just turn on the screen, but the computer was on inside, running silently. So you come at 10 o'clock and your alignment is done. Your run-out compensation is based on the clamp that you put on another car at 9 o'clock. So how accurate do you think that's going to be? Okay, so if you go to a shop where they don't do run-out compensation, please leave immediately, or if they are very nasty, just pay the bill and don't ever go back there again. Okay, so let's talk about alignment. What are the things you need to look at? Basically, let's go to the picture here. Now this is what the alignment screen will look like. This is one of the popular brands, and then you can see here at the top here, that is the camber. Okay, it shows here this is negative, that's the front of where the steering is. Negative camber 0.32, and on the left hand side is negative 0.40. So on a very normal car, this will be quite good, yeah, camber. And then they have the toe, which is negative 0.01 degree. So it's 0 degree and 1 minute, okay? So it's almost straight, and this is negative 0 degree 5 minutes. That means 0 is here, positive toe is here, negative toe is here. So the front tires are a little bit open, okay, and it's very close to 0. And then at the back you can see here negative 1.33 and negative 1.45. It's 1 degree 45 minutes. Okay, so it's 1 3/4 degrees, and this is 1.5 degrees, 1.33. So that's pretty good. Negative camber at the back, and the toe at the back is positive 0.7 minutes and 0.2 minutes. So it's positive in, okay, positive means in, and the front is towing out. So this is a pretty good setup for a front wheel drive car. For rear wheel drive cars, you are supposed to tow in the front, okay. So you'll find that many alignment shops now are still living in the old era. We have 80%, 90% of our cars are front wheel drive, and they're still setting alignment based on rear wheel drive measurements. Okay, so anyway, main elements for alignment that you want to look at are here. Let me just tell you. The most common is toe. So if you see from the picture here, towing in is the front wheels are towed in like this, yeah. So looking from the top of the car, the wheels are towed in, that's called tow in, and this is tow out on the right where the wheels are facing outwards, okay, that's tow out. Okay, so whatever readings that you need to set on your car will depend on your manufacturer's recommended readings, okay. So try to follow that one, you can't go wrong. For competition purposes, there are other things that you need to look at, yeah. And then the next one, which is quite important but not so adjustable in many cars, is the caster. This caster is the angle of the wheel from the, if you look at the wheel from the top to the bottom, there is always a line from the top of the suspension to the bottom of the suspension, and usually it is tilted forwards at the bottom. So you look at this picture here, if it moves forward, this is positive caster, this is negative caster. There's another picture on caster. Okay, this is a picture on the caster. Oops, I'm going to show you. Cannot get bigger. Okay, so positive caster is when the top of the suspension is at the back, and negative caster is when the top of the suspension is in the front. So most cars run positive caster. Yeah. So this also is important because this is what makes your steering go back to center. You know, when you take the corner and when you release the steering a bit, it wants to go back to the center. It's caster that does it. It's very much like the front wheels of your bicycle. You know, it sort of self-balances, and it's the caster that does it. So if you don't have enough caster, you'll find that your wheel won't come back to center. And if there is unequal caster, then you will have the car pulling to one side or the other, depending on which side has more or which side has less. Okay, so that's caster. And the last one is, this is a picture of camber, and this camber is actually the attitude of the wheel looking from the front of the car. If you look at the front of the car, this is negative camber, this is positive camber. Positive camber is when the bottom of the wheel is inside, the top of the wheel is further out. So sometimes if you have an accident to your car, you can end up with very positive camber. Or if you have you bend this top part, you can have very negative camber. So in racing, they play with the camber a lot. But for road use, you just try to keep it according to manufacturer spec. You can play with it a bit. A little bit of negative camber always helps. So if you look at the standard car specs, you'll be able to understand it. Okay, so there are three things you look at. Basically, it is toe, how much the front wheels toe in, and also there is the rear toe. On a lot of cars, the rear is not adjustable, but it's good to measure it because there is always a specification. And if there is anything wrong with the body or your torsion beam or your suspension, you'll find that the readings may be out of spec. And if the readings are out of spec, you can expect that there will be some problems with your car handling or even tracking straight. Okay, so basically you have to worry about toe, and whether it's toe in or toe out depending on the spec. Then the next thing you worry about is the camber. Okay, how the wheel is cambered, you know, looking from the front. And the last one is caster. Usually caster is not adjustable and camber is not adjustable, so basically you are stuck with toe adjustment, but it is possible to do it right. Okay, so for most cars on the road, especially the lower rung, the lower strata of cars, the thing that you can adjust is usually front toe, and the rest of it you need to know and measure to see whether it complies. Now for caster measurement, there's another thing I need to tell you. Caster can only be measured if you do a caster swing. So you can see when they do alignment, the instrument tells them turn the wheel all the way to the right, stop. Turn the wheel all the way to the center, stop. Turn the wheel to the left, stop. Turn the wheel back to stop. Then the reading comes on. That's about the wheel alignment. Okay, now you have to measure the other things, camber, caster, and caster swing, so that you know that your car is performing as usual. And usually they have computerized data, and you can check that against the data on the machine. Yeah, check your actual readings against the specified data on the machine, and if you're within it, you are okay. But it's always best to use the actual readings to get correct settings. Okay, now the wheel alignment process is pretty simple. You have to actually set the steering straight. Okay, so what the man does with the alignment is he turns your steering straight, then he will put a clamp on the steering wheel and against the seat and lock it there. So the idea is lock the steering in a straight position, and if he locks the steering and the steering in straight position, then the wheels are like that. That means he has, let's say yes, like in that direction, that means he has to adjust this wheel out and this wheel in, okay, accordingly. And then if the rear wheels are also bent, then the thing that is affected is the thrust angle. So let's say the two rear wheels are bent like that, then he has to actually set the front wheels like that so that the car goes straight. But that is a strange art that the alignment people should know. But what's important for you to know for today's lesson is you have to worry about the toe, the camber, and the caster angle. Alright, so I hope that this lesson has been useful to you, and if you like, you can please share. But just remember one thing, yeah, the first thing I said earlier about run out compensation. If the shop does not do it, you know the part where they clamp here, then they turn this way, turn that way, and then they get the reading. If they don't do the run out compensation and just put the clamp on and start adjusting, then that shop is not worth going to. Alright guys, so thank you very much again for watching, and till we meet again, bye bye.